Hey, good morning. Good morning. This is Jared with CarrierCheck. I got Nate in the studio. And I'm excited. We got Mike, the logistics god, on with me today.
Dude, please.
Yeah, I love that. I love
I
the
should have worn my.
30 days.
I should have wore. I actually made a shirt. After I found out that account was made, I was like, dude, I'm gonna make a shirt. So I went out and bought like, I don't know. I was just like, I'm gonna get down with this shirt. It's actually pretty dope.
I
My
think it's
fiance
really
doesn't
fun
think
to
so, but I was like, dude, I put Jesus on it and everything. It was dope. I spent way too much time making it, but it made me. Hey, I'm petty like that, so it made me.
Well, I'm excited to talk sales. We're going to get into, the deep, dark, how do you do enterprise sales? I'm excited to get down into that. But, first, real quick, Nate, obviously, eCarrierCheck. Tell us how your week's been. Tell us what's been going on with eCarrierCheck.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone on TikTok, thanks for tuning in. Get on YouTube. You can see Mike there and us lives too as well. So yeah, it's been a good week. It's kind of slow just with the holiday coming up. But some of the questions, we've really been getting just a lot of sales questions. So it's perfect timing to have Mike on. And I've been watching a little bit of your stuff too, Mike, and handling objections. And I think our crowd's really going to love this today. But yeah, what we do here at eCarrierCheck, we're really a sourcing utility platform. So for those of you in logistics, freight brokers, dispatchers, carriers, let's help you source some leads to brokers, carriers, and shippers. And not only that, we have a really cool way to help you keep organized and reach out to some people and hopefully build your confidence.
Yeah, I think that's half of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mike, honestly, and I'm excited to break down. I've got a whole list of notes here for you, but
Love it.
I'm excited to talk about, what you do and why you do it. I think we've got a lot of people that are in sales, but they may be more spot market freight brokers. They're not necessarily kind of like what you're doing. So if you don't mind, maybe take us at a 30,000 foot view and talk about a 3PL sale and how it's a little bit different and how you got started in this.
Yeah, so randomly, I think I got started just like everybody else, right? Nobody goes, unless you're like going to be a supply chain logistics manager or something like that, you go to school for it. But dude, I got started. Shout out to Chaz. Got started in Detroit with a company called Worldwide Express, and that's really what paved the way for me. I've always worked for larger 3PLs, right? But in the beginning of my career, I didn't know that. I guess I knew because I was selling against it, but I didn't know that like people were out there just looking for loads. And I like I said, as I did know, but it was more or less they taught us the business side of things. And like I'm sure you guys see my content where I'm like, listen, I dumb myself down a lot, but I know logistics. I know you got to know logistics, but like that, I'm not a freight market expert, right? It's like my brain. I was trained to always look at 10,000 feet up how the supply chain impacts the entire organization, right? So that's how I've always looked at it. If I could figure out, hey, if I could save you money, on rates, put that aside, but also do things from an operational standpoint and build out a sustainable, scalable solution, you're going to use me and only me. Like that was what we had to sell. It was like you're meeting with executive level and you're selling, you got to sell an account that's all in. It was like every week, hey, what's the volume at? Why aren't we getting everything? So it was like, so that's kind of where I just, and then it's like, I was there for 4 years. I moved over I started popping some enterprise deals there too. Like I thought enterprise deals were just the exact same, right? Because if you think about it, I went into every sale, like all in, right? It was just at scale. But then I moved over after about 4.5 years, went into leadership, got into enterprise sales. But yeah, it's like I've never sold maybe a couple big RFPs, but I've never, even then, when I look at RFPs, I do it differently. It's like I just don't want to go to bed at night worrying about, hey, is that freight going to be mine and shit like that. That's like, I value my time. And again, you, right? But it's like, for me, it's just not my model.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this. I love that you, do you remember your first cold call, Mike? Like, or do you remember, if you kind of track it back to when you started, what does that look like?
It was on a field ride, dude. It was with Sean Layton, man. Shout out Sean Layton. I would not be here without him. Okay. He's the man. He wasn't even he became my manager, but he was just for Worldwide Express. It was I don't know if you know Worldwide Express, but they are like an intense If you make it through Worldwide Express, you've been through hell and back, but it's good. It's the best, dude. There's nothing like it, right? I mean, it's just awesome. But anyway, so we had to do a field ride, right? So they put you through a field ride, and we did cold calls all day, right? So I was just natural, and I hate saying natural, right? But it was like, to me, I guess if there's anything, like if there is natural talent, it was more or less like I was just naturally like maybe oblivious. I didn't care, right? It was like I'd walk through a door and I was just like, so wait, all I gotta do is go in there and say, hey, what's up? My name's Mike. I'm looking for the business owner. That don't seem too hard. And then when he told me what he was like, I was like, wait, you make 6 figures, dude? He was like 26. And I'm like, you make 6 figures and all I got to do is this shit every day? Sign me up.
Get it done.
I said, hey, put on a suit and walk through doors? I mean, it is a little nerve wracking though. It's like, I had that ego, but then it's like, yeah, it definitely, the first time you go out by yourself and you're out there just walking through doors, you don't got your manager with you. And it's like, okay, this is reality. This is life. I'm nobody in this company. I'm walking through industrial parks in Detroit. This is what I got to do. And it's like, dude, it's different. It's definitely different, but I appreciate everything. I'm glad I had to go through that because it made everything a lot easier.
Yeah. That's so funny you say that. I cut my teeth working at a kind of a regional LTL company, and they did the same thing. I came from the jewelry background. I used to work at Tiffany & Company, in 2005, 2007, I was working at Tiffany & Company, and I came back home to Nebraska and said, okay, I'm going to go to work for, a buddy of mine, and he owned a trucking company, a less than truckload LTL. And nice. Same thing. You just start walking into all these places, and back then we had Blackberries, everybody, everybody.
I miss my I had a Blackberry in college for like a year, but I miss those things. Can you ping someone or something like that? But yeah.
I love that. So let's get into, that full solution sale. Obviously, in a day-to-day basis, you're prospecting and you're calling C-level, executives. Talk through, how do you find these prospects, or what is it that you're doing in order to say, yeah, this is going to be a good prospect to, touch base with?
Yeah. So like, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Cause I'll be honest, sometimes I think about things now, knowing more is almost sometimes worse, right? I get too wordy. Keep it simple. But I think it was more or less, if I take myself back to when I started, knowing a couple things besides rates, price always has to make sense. But what can we do? What challenges? Give me 2 challenges a company normally would have that my company can solve. Accounting from a billing standpoint, and jumping on multiple platforms. So it was like, okay, if they're doing a manual process, I can clean that up. I could twist that into they're diluting their buying power, especially with LTL, right? It's like, why are you jumping on all these platforms? You're diluting your buying power. And that's all I would look for. I would go in, talk to a shipper. Hey, what's your process like? Cool. Boom. Like, keeping it that simple. It was just like, that was it. It was like, hey, I'm going to go call this CFO, CEO and say, hey, listen, I can save you money because you're diluting your buying power. Your team is spending a ton of time having to hop on multiple platforms. I'm going to give them one platform. That way, again, maximize your buying power without, sacrificing, utilizing all these different carriers. And on the back end, your accounting, if I spoke, which I normally would try to speak with, your accounting is getting all invoiced, all these shipments getting invoiced to her all over the map. I'll be able to send that to her in a consolidated invoice weekly. It was like that simple, right? It is as simple as I can put it, right? It's like, why wouldn't you? And I still think that, I think it's like conviction too, right? Hands down, I know I'm biased, but there is no reason, if I'm calling you, there's no reason why you shouldn't use me all in. If I'm calling you, and I believe it too. So it's like, just like that, it's like, I think you have to believe what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Where does that confidence come from, Mike? Is it just the years of experience? Did you have the same confidence at day one? Or
I'm extremely good looking, so I mean, I got that going. I'm such a douche. But no, I don't know, man. I mean, I always like, no, it's like, dude, confidence is there, but it's like, I was like, I don't know, man. It's like, I'm nervous every time. Like, I always have to push myself, right? It's like, I can't find the video for the life of me, right? But I watched this video, and there was times when I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't think I like going through these doors. It was like nerve wracking, but I saw this video early on in my career, and it was like, what would the bolder you do? And this guy would put a rubber band around his wrist. And he would, every time he got nervous and he didn't want to do something, he would snap it. I know it sounds crazy. I can't find the video, but that's what I would do. Just little things, man. I mean, you gotta, at the end of the day, it's like, it's all about mindset, dude. It's like, do I want to, I've always lived my life kind of like that. Even I used a lot of with dating, right? I was always the guy that was like, I see all of my friends, and it was like Tinder. I had a serious girlfriend back then too, but it was like, even when I didn't, I was like the person that would walk up to you and say, hey, listen, I don't really know you, but you're good looking. I'd love to take you out, right? It's like, that's how I got my fiance. It's like, literally, it's like, I've always thought about, like, I take fate in my own hands, right? It's just like, just go do it. And It's scary. Everything's scary you do, but it's like, not to come off corny, but it's like, it's going to come off corny. You have to, everything you do that's worth doing is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It always seemed to me like I was always, my concern was what are other people going to be thinking, or, the rejection, or what are they going to say? Or, that was always my concern. But it seemed like as I kind of got over that fear, things just kind of moved along fairly quickly. You know what I mean?
You realize dude, people are going to hate you regardless, right? It's like, I got people that talk shit about me when I'm killing it. I got people that talk shit about me when I'm not killing it. It's like, dude, it's like, and again, that shit sucks, but it's like, at the end of the day, you got to you're like you said, it's like, they're not paying my bills. And at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? It's like, they're going to hate you either way. So I think that, but then you start realizing though, man, it's like, I laugh about it. I talk to my buddies and I'm like, doing the outside door, like literally blowing through doors, waiting for secretaries to go out to lunch and going through doors. So you'd be so surprised on how little you get yelled at, right? There was very few, like I wasn't, it was, and that is super awkward. Think about that. That is so awkward. If someone was just like walking through your door into your office, hey, I'm sorry I popped in unannounced, and not getting yelled at. So it's like, being able to have that experience, it's a little bit easier for me to call someone, because it's like, dude, no one's gonna yell at me. It's what's the worst that's gonna happen? Because I've done the in person and know that it's like 9 times out of 10, even like these keyboard warriors that talk about don't pitch me when you're don't pitch me right off the rip. Be my best friend first. Come on, we both know that ain't happening like that.
I would agree. Do you make still in-person calls much, Mike, after COVID, or what?
I did one. I snagged one, actually. I was nervous as hell too. It was like, dude, it was like a huge account. It was like $2 million. It was like walking distance. I live in Kirkland, and I was like, I ended up walking out back, and I talked to some guys, and I was like, holy shoot, this is a huge lead. They had drop trailers. It was like those like little, like in a subdivision off those corners. And I remember I walked that. It was weird because I walked past there about 10 times, 10 different days, and I never went in to like actually set the cold call. The pandemic and everything, but let's just face it, I was just rusty and I was just nervous. I was just like, why are you so nervous, dude? You've done this a million times. But that was probably, I think that might have been the last actual, like, damn, that's like sad. I'm thinking about it. That was probably the last actual in-person, like I call it, that was a warm call, setting a meeting in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So let's talk about objections, Mike. Obviously, you're Objections. I love watching your videos on objections. In fact, for anybody that is watching today, check out Mike. Mike, what's your YouTube channel? Because it's insane. I love it.
Midwest Mike.
Yeah. So check out Midwest Mike. Obviously, follow Mike on LinkedIn, and he puts a lot of content out there. But let's talk about objections. Obviously, you probably get the same 2 to 5 objections. Probably the same, really. I don't handle shipping
every time.
Yeah. You get that a lot because you're calling the C-level, not a shipping manager or CFO, anything like that. Do you have scripts? Do you have You know, do you already
did.
know what you're going to say? Tell me walk us through the first objection, if you don't mind.
So yeah, before that, like there's always been a script, right? Like, but it's like, again, 10 years on, but I'll be honest. I don't know if I've ever met anybody that is so obsessed with role playing. Like even to this day, like you could show up nude and I'd be able to figure out how to sidebar that and get back to, like, that's how like dialed in I am with like objections. Like I think about, dude, it's crazy to think about it, but it's like I'd be in the office till 10 o'clock at night for 3 years at Worldwide Express by myself, just role playing in my car, just role playing. So, there's no script for me, but there was when I started, right? Okay, let's just face it. I don't handle the shipping. Keep it just high level. Okay, cool. I like to say, take the objection away from them before they even give it to you.
Sure.
That's a little bit more like, again, that gets a little bit dicey when someone's new. But again, I think it's easier to learn. It's just like, hey, listen, reason why I was giving you a call is I know you're not the person, out back making the bill of ladings and booking the shipments. I'm not looking to have a shipping conversation. So you're acknowledging that. You're taking that objection already off the plate. You already know if you don't, that's the main objection you're going to get. You took it off the plate, and it's like, I'm looking to have just a financial conversation with you to show you exactly the money I can put back inside your company. How do you look at 10 o'clock? And they'll give you that objection. Well, I don't handle that. That's where it comes in handy, is to already have had that conversation, because you can still pop those meetings when you don't, but it's a lot harder to go to I don't want to say fight, but like just kind of like overcoming an objection when you haven't done a little bit of homework, right? Because it's like, if you've done the homework, it's like, yeah, listen, man, I had a great conversation with John, your shipping manager. I definitely know he's going to be my guy, but at the end of the day, you're the CEO of the company. This is impacting your company financially. You're going to be the one who's, invested in this. I need to have that conversation with you. I've already talked to John. So you see how it's easier to push that aside if he or she pushes you back. But if he doesn't, I say just keep it. Just always go back to, I'm not having a shipping conversation. Too many people want to like talk about like shipping stuff with the wrong people. They don't know who they're calling and what like they really care about, like what that person truly cares about in the business.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I mean, honestly, I hear a lot of cold calls. We do cold calls on Wednesdays, and so we get a lot of people that are just saying, they're more or less kind of spot market chasing. In our particular case, they're not necessarily doing what you're doing, but people are just not necessarily kind of understanding what that guy does on a daily basis as a shipping manager or a freight manager. So,
well, that's the thing is too. It's like I try to tell people, it's like, hey, listen, I got buddies that are like, you can make a killing. Obviously, you make a killing being your standard broker, right? But even my buddies, they do things different. They still they have some swagger to them. Like you see all these people, and it's like, listen, we got the best rates, we got the best platform. No, everyone's like, listen, you're gonna have some a-holes that are like don't want to deal with you, and you got those like cocky shipping people that think you deal with them all the time, right? It doesn't even have to be a shipping person. You get those people all the time. But it's more or less like when I call shipping people, I acknowledge the fact that I hate call. I'm more afraid to call a shipping manager than I am the CEO of a $1 billion company. Like it's just because they get called so much. So it's like I say tailor it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you're not an idiot. Acknowledge that they get blown up. Say, hey, listen, I'm from a logistics company. I know you get blown up 24/7. Give me 1 minute. I'm not trying to be added to a carrier list. I just wanted to dig get a couple answers or figure out a couple questions I wanted to ask you about your process. That's when you can start having a conversation. It's like, oh, so you're actually having to spend time and go on a bunch of different platforms. Your salespeople are bitching at you. That's got to be so annoying. I'm a sales guy. I hate when I trust me. I know I'm annoying. My ops people hate me. I just like humanize it. And it's like, okay, cool. This person isn't that guy that's always like, hey, I got the best rates. Because at the end of the day, it's like, dude, that shipping manager most times, and I'll probably get some heat for this. It's not their money. It's not their money. And it's like a lot of times they don't even get incentivized. Like that's how deep you want. I like to get with, again, I'll sell. Obviously I'm selling to the CEO, but I'm trying to, I've got so many relationships with shipping managers that they even said it. Mike, we're happy we use you. I just couldn't pull the trigger. But now that we do, I don't got to deal with all this shit. Literally, I would sit back. There was this one company, I'll just say it, Chemical Systems. They used to I used to come in there and they'd all be driving these U-Hauls, just literally call me. They'd be like, Mr. Worldwide, love me. And I'd sit there, just chop it up. Get this. They literally would, those guys, if they could find someone they like, especially someone that sold to their CEO, they would pick up the phone. One time this guy picked up the phone, the shipping manager, and he's like, hold up, dude. And he's like, no, we're customer routed, which is, again, I'm going on a little rant here, but this is going to go to my next point. And I laugh and I go, was that a sales guy? Logistics? He goes, yeah, they call all the time. Now we're just customer routed. So that made me think is how many times are we getting told we're customer routed? Which led me into AP, going to AP because they're not going to say they're customer routed. So went on a little rant, but yeah, that's kind of, I think it's just regardless if you're transactional or not transactional, I think transactional is just not the way to go. But you don't have to sell all in. You don't have to go build out a root cause analysis. You could just literally have a business mindset. Hey, dude, I'll give you a call. I'll give you my cost. Let's forget this back and forth stuff about quoting. What do you need the price to be? If it makes sense, dude, I'll give it to you at that. I'll take leaner margin, but give everything to me. Give me all those lanes. Dude, people just don't want to add. People want to be yes men. People are afraid to say, hey, listen, I have an idea. I just went on a rant. You gotta stop. You gotta stop me when I get jacked up. I haven't been talking to anybody lately. I'm just like,
no, honestly, you really kind of hit it on the head. They're not asking those questions, and I think honestly, the biggest difference between a guy that just started 6 months ago and you is you ask better questions.
I mean, I thank you. I mean, yeah. I was like, you can say, I don't want to be that guy that's like, yeah, I do, but it's like, I just think about it in my way, dude. It's like, dude, even if it's not a better question, I just ask questions. Ask questions. It's like, why? I'm very curious. I've always been curious, and I'm like, not afraid to say why. Why do you do that? Why is the biggest thing you can always ask someone? Because then it's like, why do you do that?
You're right.
Wait, so why do you jump on 4 different platforms? Okay. A lot of times these people could even just pop. You don't know how many times like you could probably just sell to that shipping manager at most companies like that are still doing $150,000 in freight. But again, it goes back. There's a reason why I was selling against like CH. I was with Worldwide, great company, but I was brand new selling against CH Robinson, taking accounts from CH, Echo, stuff like that. Because 1, I was in person. 2, they were literally, nobody was asking. Nobody went to the higher level. 1, 2, nobody even really talked to the shipping manager of what they like. You know how many times I walked in? CH is a great company, one of my biggest competitors to this day. I always say it's not really the company, it's the rep, right?
Yeah.
So I would walk into so many companies that they would say, I don't even know our login. We have a login. I knew how to handle CH's platform better than the people that were actually utilizing it.
I love that. Mike, you mentioned something that I kind of want to go back to a little bit because
sure.
I think this is really important is, I honestly think through every conversation I have before I have them when it comes to sales. And you mentioned role playing. Where do you start with role playing? Do you just list out objections, or what is your process to role play? What were those nights in that car? What did it look like?
Whatever I was getting, like, so there in the beginning of my career was like we learned it in steps, right? It was like learn how to cold call, right? Because here's the thing is I use it like golf, right? You got to learn how to grip the club before you can hit that 200-yard bunker shot over the water onto the green, right? You gotta learn how to grip it first. So it was like it started with, I just got to break it down. It started with, hey, what can we do? What value can we bring? What's a qualified lead? What's my target customer? Okay. That's it. Focus on that. And then as the objections would come, how do you handle those? And then I would focus on maybe 1 or 2 objections at that point that I would get and constantly role play. Okay, they don't handle shipping, or even just a cold call objection. Get out of here. We're customer routed. Just being able to just say, wording things differently on how to like hold my ground, but not come off like tense, right? It's just like, I don't know. I was like weird, dude. I'm like, I've been filming myself, which sounds so weird. I've been filming myself since 2004. I have so many videos of like, I was so dialed in. I wanted to know how my mannerisms were. Like, I'm pretty out there. You should have seen me 8 years ago, right? But it was like little things like that. But I would focus on only one or two things from objections or any kind of cold call. One or two things, feel like I'm good with that at least a month, because it's like the compound effect that Darren Hardy said, right? You can't, too many people try to like do all these things at once. And I was that person, right? It's like, because I'm ADD, I'm like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try this. And you kind of just end up really not doing anything, right? So it's like 1, 2 things focused on that. Okay, cool. This month, I'm going to get really good at handling the objection of we don't handle the shipping. I don't handle the shipping. So I'm going to look at different ways that I got told that. How can that's when I learned, I was like, what if I just take it off their plate already? What if I already acknowledge that? Because then it's like when they say it again, because they will. Oh, but like I said, I don't handle that. Well, that's exactly why I'm calling you. I just told you, I know you don't handle that. And it's kind of like just little stuff like that. And then I just got, dude, I'm obsessed with it. I still to this day, it just jacks me up. Like, there's nothing better than just like, I don't know, man. It's just the coolest thing. Closing's easy. Like, I think it's so badass to be that guy that's like I just like being in that office and it's like nobody can touch me when I'm on these phones. Like, it was like, I am the man and I know it because I've practiced so much. I haven't even went home, right? It's like, I haven't even went home. No one will outsell me on these phones. So it's like, I just got jacked on that. So, but I'd say is go back to 1, 2 things, focus on those things that you want to work on from an objection or whatever it may be. Focus on those things for at least a month, master it. If you're never going to master it, but get good at it and then move on to the next before you start going all over the map. You got to take it in buckets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful to record yourself as well. You'll see, you'll hear yourself differently. You see yourself differently. It's just, you just kind of get to a point where you're like, wow, I really shouldn't have said that. Or, man, I stumbled on that call. Or,
it's like gameplay or it's like game tape. What's funny is I posted a video. So I've been so busy. I'm like, damn, I should have did this a while ago. Posted old content, right? It's still good. But someone was like super impressive on how your just like communication has changed from 3 years ago. And I'll be honest, I haven't been as dialed in. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff from a company standpoint. So I haven't really been super dialed into like critiquing myself. So yesterday I was like, holy crap. Like, I was like, I don't think I changed that much. And then I was like, it was nice to actually step back and it's like, wow, like even the way I've presented myself in front of a camera 3 years ago when I thought I was like confident was so choppy. And I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
But it is cool to see, man. I mean, you gotta, to me, that's the only way you can truly get better, right? Is if you can be self-aware and critique yourself. Like, or if you're lucky to have a couple of those people around you that tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, cherish those people. And yeah, I mean, you need that because it's like, you're never going to get better. Like, I can't even be around people that tell me like, oh, you're the man. It's like, I don't need that. I need you to tell me I'm not the man or what I'm doing wrong.
Right. Absolutely. Mike, obviously you've built a brand on YouTube, LinkedIn. You have just an interesting following, and I'm sure that brand has brought clients to you. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about marketing for just a second and the importance of branding or marketing. You obviously do it through video, but not everybody's comfortable like yourself in doing those things. How do you step out? You just started a brokerage, you just started, a trucking company or some kind of company that's in our space. How do you start out marketing? How do you provide value to, customers in that sense?
This is where it's really odd for me because it's like a lot of, I double majored in broadcasting, but public relations. So public relations was so broad. if you look at my skill set, more people have endorsed me. I don't even have any endorsements on logistics. It's PR and marketing. And I don't even know. I think it's just all that is what came natural to me, right? Like I've always been my biggest PR, right? I've always been like a supporter of me. So when I say this real is rare, right? I mean, I mean that to the core. Like, and I know that sounds fluffy, but it's like, I mean it to the core where I've had it tattooed on me, right? And what I mean by that is I think everybody you don't got to be me. You don't got to be that person. And it sounds corny, but it's like, I think marketing just needs to be what you are, true, authentic you. Like, I'll take it to this from a sales standpoint, right? People would like this lady and I know how to like be a chameleon, right? I'll say the F word sometimes. And it's like, dude, we're all human, dude. I think it's like, but that's me. I'm okay with burning a few bridges. I'm okay with like maybe not having turning someone off, because I'm going to turn on a lot more people that want to be around me, right? It's like, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, it's again, it goes back into, it sounds so corny because it's like, be you, but it's like, think about it. It's like, I remember the first time I was like, I'm done being business, Mike. Like, yeah, I love wearing my suit and all this, but it's like, so I remember to like, it was yesterday. I get on a call, I'm called the CEO and I was like, I'm done saying hi. Like, I sounded so tense. I was like, yo, what's up, man? It's Mike Neme. How you been? And he was like taken back. He was like, good, dude. What do I know you? Didn't even think I was a sales guy. That paved my career. In my head, I said, you know what? I use the word dude. Doesn't make me dumb. I'm sharper than most of these people. I'm not going to let that. It was hurting me because I was trying to be something else. So once I really dove in and said, hey, this is who you are, and be okay with marketing yourself the way you are, and not trying to mirror that other person, you're going to do so much better. And I think that I'll be honest, even now, I still feel myself kind of like pulling back sometimes. I have yet to like really, really give it like be me, right? It's like, because in the back of your head, you're always worried, but I think it's just market yourself the way you are, right? If video's not you, don't do video. If you're great, I suck at writing, right? I'm good at writing, but it takes me forever, right? What takes me 30 seconds on a video would take me 2 hours on writing. I can't do it. I hate it. I should get better, but I hate it. Yeah, so it's like, do you?
That's fair. I appreciate that.
Did that answer it? I definitely.
That was good, man. I loved it. I think that's so important to just be authentic, be your authentic self, and who you are is who you are. And
Brent Teets, shout out real quick. Brent Teets, nerdiest kid I know, smartest kid I know. But I love, like, we get along so, like, he is so much smarter than me. Taught me so much about data. He's the VP. I forgot what company, but anyways, he's a prime example. We were in this meeting once, and he owned who he was. I remember we were sitting there, and I was like, he's so smart that the CFO looked at me and was just like, and I go, yeah, I know, right? We looked at me, the CFO, and Brent goes, yeah, I'm sorry. Most of the time they got me locked up in a dark room just drinking monsters, crunching numbers. And it was so awkward, but it was so funny. But it was like, I thought about it and I was like, that is it. That he is him. He is who he is. He's not that funny guy. He's not a funny guy. He is very dry. And it was just like, I don't know. I don't know why that came up, but it's like, there's something about like the way he was himself. You could tell that was him, and almost like himself, but still trying to make a joke, and people just appreciated it. It was just like, I can appreciate that. I don't know. Yeah. It just gives that's the type of shit that's the type of stuff that I personally love seeing, when someone can just be themselves and like that. It's the best type of marketing I think there is.
Yeah. Anytime you know your lane, honestly, it's what it's all about. Just knowing who you are, knowing what you're doing, and just kind of soaking that in just allows you to be more confident, and you're not trying to play to the other masses.
Hands down, dude. People would more people are going to like you. There's something about someone that just literally, I don't know, man. There's a lot, like, I'm going to be best friends with everybody, right? But it's like, if I know, like, if someone's just that doesn't, like, they're just straight shooters, and I might not like you, but you're the first person I'm probably going to go to and trust. It doesn't really matter about liking in my head. It's like, there's just something about it. You got to respect someone that is who they are, bottom line. And that's, I think, more people than not, I would hope, are like that, right? It's like, there's just something about someone that is so themselves it's attractive. It's like, damn, I can see it. I hate you, but dude, you keep doing you because I can respect that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the way I think about things.
Yeah.
Really quick, sorry,
ahead,
Mike.
go
I know
ahead.
I haven't said much. You probably don't want to hear this. You are insane. I'm learning a lot just from you sitting here. But a lot of things I hear from picking up the phone every day. Like Jared's done a lot of cold calls and kind of showing examples, and people try to compare themselves to others, and I think that's really hard, to do. I mean, I like when you deal with objections. You don't know how to deal with objections unless you actually deal with it. So I talked to so many people that don't want to pick up the phone. I'm like, well, just do it, get through it, be comfortable.
That's the thing. Practice only gets you so much. Like, dude, practice is great, but I think it's like, so it's like, here's the thing is like, I actually was, he's like new, or he's not new, but he's like 32, Alex Hermosi. Dude, check him out. I don't know. He came up to YouTube, has $100 million, sold $100 million company. He's a bad ass. But anyways, it made sense. I never really read sales books either when I first started, right? I do now. Most people like think they got to read all these books, but they don't have anything to compare it to, right? It's like they don't know what they're even looking at. And he was talking about that, and I was like, damn, that is so right. Like, put the self-help books away, put everything away, actually go get some like dirt under your nails, know what's actually going to happen. And then it's like, then start thinking, okay, now I'm going to, like, if I was to say, hey, go gap sell to like some new guy, he's going to be like, wait, what's that? It's like, oh, well, you got to find solutions, pull up. You know what I mean? It's like, no one's going to know that. You got to actually go out there and do it and get a feel for it. And then you can start like going into like sales books and doing all that stuff. But the first 2 years, I probably didn't really do that. I just focused on what I was doing, and I figured out how to make tweaks, and I had great managers that helped me out on that. But it was like, you got to just do it. You have to do it. And we could sit here and preach it all day but let's face it, there's more people than not are not going to do it. It's just, and I think that's the biggest thing right there is, it sucks to say, but there's a lot of managers out there that just don't have the guts to tell these people, dude, maybe sales isn't for you, because I say this to the day I die. Sales is the hardest $50,000 a year job you'll ever do, right? You could go, you could go get a way better job, make 80 grand a year, way less stress, but it's the easiest $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 job you'll ever get. If that makes sense. That's the way I always thought about it. My manager told me that. He was like, dude, I remember he was talking to this kid. He goes, you're a great person, but dude, you're hating this. He was hating it. He was like, this is a hard job making 50 grand, having to deal with all this shit, right? So I think more or less, I think people literally got to just be told, maybe sales isn't for you. If you have to go into a sales job asking, do I have to sell or have to, like, that blows my mind. That blows my mind when I see these people on LinkedIn, VPs, cold calling, and this is bad. Bro, you should get fired. Sorry, but you should. Like, you got your VP of sales telling the world cold calling's dead? Who let him in?
Yeah. Who invited him? Mike, I would love to ask you a couple personal questions. What are you consuming for content? You mentioned books a moment ago, but are you listening to podcasts, or what's your favorite book, or what?
Gap Selling by Keenan, dude. He's the man. I can read that book a million times. It's all about solving challenges and selling outcomes. I would suggest to anybody that actually has some years on them, Gap Selling. Keenan might tell you to sell it right off the bat, but either way, Gap Selling. Podcast wise, dude, I love like this new guy, Alex, right? He's like young, my age. Look at my LinkedIn. I just connected with him. Super smart. I don't know. Those are the types of things I like. I'm really looking at, I do love writing. So I've been really diving into a lot of creative writing, marketing and stuff like that. Another guy to plug, Justin Welsh. If you want to grow your LinkedIn content, go buy his stuff. I follow Justin Welsh since he was nobody on LinkedIn, right? He had no followers. He has literally in 3 years, over 100,000 followers now. Wow. He's got what? I think he just posted 2 streams of income that he just built, 90 online courses. He's already made $1 million. This guy, he's another guy to follow. So Justin Welsh, this Alex dude, I can send you a list, but I'm trying to wean away from. It's a rabbit hole, man, but I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to wean away. I'm trying to get away from. You are who you are around, right? You are who you hang around. Now in this day and age, you are who you consume, right? And it was hurting me. So I'd like just stuff that's like, again, not to say hustle culture, but hustle culture, dude. My goal, I'll say it proudly. I want to be retired at 40 years old, and I will be. And though, and that's the way it is. And those are the people I kind of want to follow. I don't want to follow like toxic positivity fluff shit. I just don't.
Yeah, that's fair. What was Alex's last name again?
I'd butcher it. Hermosi. Look him up. He's got I just saw it. He's got this like podcast. I think it's called The Game. He owns acquisition.com. So look him up on there.
Okay.
But he's the man. I watch a lot of stuff though. I like watching even like Jake. I think it's so fascinating because they're smart, right? Like Jake Paul, Logan Paul. People think about that and they're like, oh, just YouTubers. Dude, they're levels above people, right? Their mind, like think about it. They are doing things. It's funny because people want to shit on those guys, but they make so much money, and now because of that, they can actually do good, right? Being broke ain't doing anybody good. Not doing you any good. It's not going to help anybody. You know what I mean? So it's like I like to just watch people like that are actually doing things and how their brain works, right? Regardless if they're in logistics, sales, influencer. If they're smart, I'm watching them, and I want to see how things are done, and then I incorporate stuff like that into my own life.
That's fair, man. I appreciate that. Mike, you've been just a trooper today, giving us some real sales advice. Mike, how do people get a hold of you other than YouTube, LinkedIn? What seems to be the best place to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. I'm just starting to grow the YouTube. If you want to know me on a personal level, I haven't really been posting much, but you can go ping me on Instagram. It's Midwest Mike 87. Twitter, I got like 13 followers. So if you want to join that, hit me up on Twitter. I just got, dude, that's where the writing's going to suck. They limit you to like 12 characters, but my Twitter's Midwest Mike _87. But dude, LinkedIn is where I'm at usually. I mean, just ping me. My number's on there. So if you're a CPG brand doing $50,000 minimum in freight and you're looking for a one-stop shop, hit me up. Or if you're just a sales dude with a shitty ass manager that wants a dude to just, I'm giving it out for free, right? I'm paying it forward. So I'm here to help. So either way.
I love that. Mike, thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me, dude.
Really rock star, man. I can't thank you enough for the effort and time.
I appreciate it. Dude, thank you for the support, man. You're always dropping the lines. I do see it and I do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Nate, obviously CarrierCheck, people can check us out. What days of the week do we get together with people?
Yeah, we gather together every Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So go to eCarrierCheck.com and sign up with us. See a free live demo. And Mike, thanks again, man. I've learned so much in this 45 minutes. And I was just thinking about this while you guys were talking. If I get you, Jared, in a room, that would be insane. I can see you guys talking all day. So,
bro, I just like literally exhausted myself. I was like, I'm never exhausted. I was like, man, I am on fire right now. I was like, why am I so jacked? I do got a badass meeting I'm getting into. So maybe that's it. That. Or maybe I just like hearing myself talk. It's probably a little bit of that. It's probably a little bit. It's definitely a little bit of that. But no, dude, I appreciate you guys having me. Are we connected, dude?
Yeah. Nate might not be, but I know
Nate.
I'll get connected.
Hey, Nate, don't be one of those guys.
I'm gonna
a listener from afar. Yeah, connect, dude.
I got you, man.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, later, Mike.